Hey, what's going on, everybody? Matt Jarbo here, MundaneChats channel. Currently at Vidcon 2017. Sorry I have not posted many videos over the course of the past 4 days. This week has been insane, a whirlwind of non-stop movement, and despite what you may hear from certain people that I'm going to be talking about in this video, everyone who has come out here this week has been nothing but kind, friendly, generous, amazing, badass as shit people. Just, they're awesome. Like, they've made this week, like, seriously one of the best of my fucking life. And for that, I'm ever grateful. So, I just want to get that out of the way. VidCon is badass. You all should come out next year and hang out with us, because we're doing this shit again. But that being said, yesterday, oh man, I wanted to process how I thought about this event before making a video. So I wanted to get like a good night's sleep, which didn't happen because I drank a lot until like 4 in the morning. But I wanted to think a lot about it. So Anita Sarkeesian is clearly the person of the hour. People have been talking about her nonstop since yesterday, when she in fact twice called out Sargon of Akkad and once called him a garbage human, which was mild in comparison to some of the things she could have said otherwise, but still not something you do when you're on a panel of experts, being a subject matter expert talking about cyberbullying and women empowerment and things like that. Not really going to be something that you want to do. But that being said, let's talk about like what led into the situation, because a lot of people have been making videos and articles about this. So, okay. We know that Anita did this panel yesterday, so we decided we were going to show up. That being Sargon of Akkad, Chris Raygun, Vernaculus, Wizard of Cause, myself, Dave Cullen, Based Mama, Crazy Hair, Wild Tanuki. Oh, gee, I'm trying to remember everyone else's name who was there. The Honey Badgers, Dr. Randmacam. I mean, a lot of people showed up. And we all agreed on one thing. No one was going to say anything. No one was going to make any movements. No one was going to make any applause or boo or heckle or anything like that. We were there to listen. We were there to listen, believe it or not. I swear to God, that was everything. We wanted to just be there. And the reason why we wanted to be there was because Anita, for lack of a better term, is kind of a myth, a legend, if you will, in this part of the industry and the internet. She's a person over the course of the past 5 years has never done something like this, some kind of public outing outside of the University of Utah incident from 2014, where there was a threat against the school and her, but that was the only time she was going to be doing a public Q&A, public thing. And ever since then, it's been shut down. So this particular situation allowed itself to be kind of this unicorn experience, something that would never ever happen again, and after yesterday will never happen again. But we wanted to be there, if anything, to silently protest that we disagree with a lot of her rhetoric, we disagree with a lot of her actions, we disagree with her assertions and everything else that she has chosen to ignore over the course of the past 5 years. And by this, I am very much referring to all of the times they stole footage, well, at least in the first video, stole footage from the YouTubers without giving proper credit, how she used a 501c3 in order to do political activism, which could potentially be a violation of nonprofit code, and then also be illegal. There are numerous other things about Anita. Most importantly, I think people just wanted to see her in the flesh and bone. Myself, I have been critical of Anita for 5 years. I make no mistake about that. I make no excuse about that. I'm not downplaying it. I have been mean and said some things in the past, and I have actually publicly apologized as such. That's not who I am anymore, but that doesn't mean that my criticism, while being more nuanced and rational and reasonable, does not still carry the same weight that it did when I might have been being a little bit more vulgar. So there is that as well. So you got the situation. Now, we get there, and we take up, there's 2 sections to this room, to this panel. And the way that VidCon set up the stages is just the most asinine thing on the planet. They have 4 stages in an open room, and, you know, one crowd could easily drown out another. And so this particular stage was small. It was a press play stage, very small. And we took up 3 rows of just the right side of that. Just 3 rows, that's it. Now, when the panel began, I don't believe Anita knew that we were there. And actually, I thought that Anita figured we were there, because we know that her and her cronies monitor us quite frequently. And so I figured she would have known that we would at least been at VidCon, but keep in mind, we, while wanting to witness this, made it abundantly clear that we were not to take pictures and post them on Twitter. We were not to announce that we were going to go to this. We were not to say anything. Reason why, we did not want her to feel like she was being attacked. We did not want her to feel like she would be unsafe. We wanted her to act as if everything was fine, be as if everything was fine. We just wanted to sit in the audience and listen. I'm not even kidding on that one. That is the God's honest truth. Nobody wanted to do anything. They just wanted to listen. And also sit there and say, like, hi, we're here too. This is our silent protest towards you and some of the things you have done, which is a completely valid, legal, and within the rules of VidCon allowed. It's absolutely allowed. No one was harassing. No one was making anyone feel unsafe. Then the panel began. Now, that wasn't the first time I'd seen Anita that day. I saw her earlier upstairs on the creator level giving an interview, and that was interesting because I'd never seen her in person before, and I was like, oh wow, there's this person I've talked about quite a bit, and I'm fascinated by Anita. I truly am fascinated by Anita from at least like an anthropological perspective. I find her to be a very fascinating person. I disagree with her wholeheartedly on many of her assertions and a lot of the bullshit that she espouses. However, I find her to be interesting. And I would like to know more. Again, I wanted to see this from that perspective. So this thing begins, and it starts off normal, and I'm waiting to see if Anita recognizes anyone in the audience. I'm looking. And I'm not in the front row. I'm back to the right in the second row. And I'm looking at her as she's talking, and then she starts scanning the audience. Right? She's scanning the audience, and she looks past everybody, and then she gets to me. We lock eyes. Right? And then there was like this look of like abject disgust that you can see in the video that Crazy Hair took, and anyone else that can actually get a good enough view, where her, like, she pulls out her phone and starts texting, but she looks at me last, gets this look of disgust on her face, which I don't blame her, to be honest with you, and then makes a call. Now at this point, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I'm thinking security is going to roll on in. We're going to get booted. We're going to get kicked out of VidCon. I don't know. But here's the thing. If that would have happened, that would have been bad for VidCon. If people who were there silently protesting a person which they politically disagree with were being escorted out from a convention that they legally paid for and had legal access to be in and had done nothing wrong, it would have been a shit show. More so than this already is. We were not there to engage. I want to make that 100% abundantly clear for anyone out there who doesn't already realize that. We were not there to engage. We're not there to do anything of the sort. Just to listen. Honest to God. Swear to God. So we get through that. And security guards show up. A security manager shows up. And she's eyeballing the fuck out of Sargon. All right. Sargon is the key person here. Biggest person. Okay. Now, if it was Thunderfoot, they probably would have shut the whole fucking place down. And then, you know, like, it would have been, if it was Jordan Owen or Davis Arini or you know, whomever, they could have done something. And the reason why, too, we didn't want to publicly broadcast this on Twitter, because we didn't want the wrong impression to be made. Anita would have easily played this up as they're here to harass me. We weren't. And honestly, if you watch the video, if you look at any of the coverage of what went down yesterday, nobody engaged, nobody pushed at it, no one did anything. So that's how we know we're telling the truth. Or that's how you know that we're telling the truth. No one engaged. No one. Now, eventually Anita got kind of, I'd say, a little bit maybe ahead of herself in what should have been the right decorum, and publicly attacked Sargon, called him a garbage human being, you know, called him a serial harasser, but never once actually engaging with the criticisms that he levied at him, all while the subject of criticisms even came up in this panel. And they were trying to, like, deflect from even, like, acknowledging, like, how utterly ridiculous that they were even sounding. You know, this is you know, women empowerment panel. And it wasn't even really about women empowerment. It turned into online safety and cyber violence and harassment. And it wasn't about empowering women. It came up from time to time. But it was much easier to talk about being a victim versus being empowered. Right? And I'm sorry, I don't view you as being a victim if you are empowered. I think being empowered completely washes away any notion of being a victim, because you are not at that point subservient to anyone else's feelings or anyone else's thoughts or anyone else's actions. You rise above. You are empowered. So that wasn't even the argument there. The argument turned from, hey, we're women in gaming and we want to do this kind of stuff, to harassment. And again, it derailed the conversation, of which I think has been blamed on those of us who were there. But ultimately, that's not even the case. So then you get to like basically the end of this situation, where the thing, you know, before we get into that one, I do want to say one thing. I was in a panel before this with Kat Black on race and representation, just listening. And they were saying some utterly ludicrous and ridiculous shit. I mean, some truly racist shit. And it was just, it's laughably bad. Like, just laughably bad. Sargon will do a video on it. You guys can hear. It's just bad. So I'm kind of snickering. I'm sitting there with Vernaculus and Dave Cullen. And, you know, Dave is just kind of like not having it. And Vernaculus is just enjoying himself. And I turn to say something to Vernaculus. And as I turn, this flash goes off in my face from the woman behind me. This woman is taking my picture. I don't know why. Okay, whatever. Maybe she recognizes me. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really deal in this particular realm of the internet. But then, a few minutes later, all of a sudden, that light comes on again, and she's recording me. She's recording me and Dave and Vernaculus, and she's saying, what are these white boys here doing? What are these white people here doing? And she's trying to Adria Richards me, right? Trying to blast me out on Twitter as if, hey, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I'm self-employed. Oh, I'm not going to fire myself. I'm too valued of an employee. The point here is that I was mad after that. I was legitimately mad after that, because that woman was trying to shame me for disagreeing with some people on a panel who were saying some utterly ludicrous stuff. She was trying to shame me not only for my gender, being male, she was trying to shame me for my race, being white. And I'm sorry, that's racist. And I was in a pretty pissed off mood after that. But it also got me thinking. Got me thinking a lot about how things are perceived online. If I've ever done that to somebody else, if I've ever put someone else in that position. And I don't ever like to feel like I have hurt somebody, because I may discuss issues and I might be critical, but my job is not to attack. I try not to. I'm a fuck up, but I try not to. So I was kind of in that weird headspace going into the Anita panel, which is why I wasn't like in a militant mindset. I was like, oh, stand our ground sort of thing. And when Anita was talking about harassment, she was talking about all these things, I started to empathize with her, because over the course of the past, 2 years, I've been blackmailed, I've been doxxed, I've been swatted, I've had people print out my Twitter avatar and ejaculate on it and send it back to me. I've had people tell me that my girlfriend should abort my unborn child. People say some really horrible shit, and it does fuck with you occasionally. The key is to not, let it get to you, but I get it. I get what she was saying. And in that moment in time, as Anita is talking, I legitimately had the thought, am I the bad guy here? Like, am I the bad guy here? Like, have I done some stuff or been involved in some stuff that is not the best, that is not going to get across what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to convey? And I legitimately had that thought for like half a second. I'm just kind of contemplating elements of it. I'm trying to wrap my mind around it to come to a determination. But then she stands up and she calls Sargon a fucking garbage person. I've known Sargon now for roughly 3 years. And while we don't see eye to eye on everything political, he's been nothing but the kindest, friendliest person to me. And hanging out with him this week has been one of the great honors of my fucking life. I love that dude. He is amazing. So that, right back into it. There's the Anita. That's the Anita that I know. Right? That's the Anita that can't stand the fact that she's being challenged silently. She can't stand the fact that we as a collective, roughly 40 people, outnumbered 2-to-1, her supporters, including Francesca Ramsey, who was on the other side. We had no idea. Andy Worski would have probably ejaculated in his pants. The point here is, we were there to observe, of which we had every right to do. Not to engage, not to harass, not to nothing. Listen. And she fired off the salvos. She fired off the comments. She made it an uncomfortable, unsafe place and put a target on Carl Benjamin's back, essentially. And keep in mind, the whole time, we're waiting for security to come and eject us. But they never did. And I'm going to talk about that here in a few. Then they did, again, this is where I want to get to. This is where the thing got crazy. They opened up Q&A. Now, they opened up Q&A, and I was like, I wasn't going to go ask, because again, I'm not there. I was still kind of in that weird space a little bit. I was like in it, but also kind of like, I'm not going to engage in this way because that's not why I'm here. But other people got up to ask questions. And there were some dickhead questions. There were some very dickhead questions that were, clearly trying to be inflammatory, of which I don't agree with. I didn't condone that at all. But you had very nuanced, level-headed questions that were coming out, and then it was just deflect, 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 deflect. One person asking Anita, if she believes the things that she says. She wouldn't answer it. She just tried to usher him away. And then the Q&A still had about 10 more minutes left to go. Sorry, real quick. Joey Salads popped up. This actually happened. I didn't know that it was him. He pops up, he goes to the mic, and he asks, like, basically, I forget the exact wording, but he essentially says, like, women aren't the only ones who are harassed online. And then Anita's like, it wasn't Anita, it was like Allie something or another. She was like, oh, well, yeah, we're going to have that conversation, but that's not right now. And it's like, no, you never have that conversation. You keep saying that word, conversation. This is what I want to say. You keep saying that word, Anita. We're here to have a conversation. No. You're not even here to debate. You at no point are you even trying to have a dialectic. You're not trying to listen and then be listened to. You're standing, a woman of privilege, in a pulpit above a crowd of people, chastising a person in the crowd who vehemently disagrees with you politically, who's done nothing to you in the person, and you're trying to make the claim that you want to have a goddamn fucking conversation? Fuck no. That's a load of goddamn horseshit. And this is the thing. This is what I loved about this too. They shut it down 10 minutes early. They shut it down. They tried, they cleared it out, whatever. Security comes around, talks to one of our friends, and she asks her, like, so what's the word for tomorrow? Because Anita's on another panel today with Boogie2988 for basically bullying on the internet. So you got that. And we were told, effectively by the head of security at Vidcon, that while they're not going to ask us not to attend, they're asking that we do not sit in the front row, because sitting in the front row made Anita feel unsafe. Again, that was not the intent. Made Anita feel unsafe, and they wanted us to sit in the back row, right? And they wanted us to, back of the bus it, basically, in order to make sure that she feels okay. I'm personally okay with that. I think the point has been made, and we're not here to exacerbate the problem. We're here, we would love to have a discussion. This is, honest to God, an open invitation to Anita Sarkeesian. I would be more than willing to have a cup of coffee just to talk. Go to a Starbucks, get a conversation, have an honest to God, heart to heart, one-on-one, no politics, no cameras, no bullshit, no performance, no personas, no nothing. Just an honest to God, heart to heart conversation, and see what that gets us. And that's something I've believed a lot more now over the last few years, is that you can accomplish more by coming together and finding out what you have in common versus always arguing about what you don't have in common. So I'd like to see more from that. That being said, they want us to sit in the back. And it's one of those things too where you just have to kind of chuckle. You just have to kind of chuckle about the whole situation. But I was mad after the panel. I was mad because I truly believe that, and again, this goes part of the conversation. I think based on what I've seen yesterday, based on what I've seen every other thing with Anita, Anita is not about the empowerment of women. She's about her own narrative. And if she'd like to challenge that or discuss that, I'm more than happy to. And not in a demeaning way, not in a condescending way, in an actual honest to God, I'm willing to have a dialectic. I am more than willing to have a dialectic. I'm so wanting to just have a discussion. I listen. You listen, maybe, hey, we find out we have something in common and we're not all that different after all. And then who knows what can happen from that, right? Wouldn't that be just the best thing ever? If we could all get along? I mean, and the way to do that is to come to the table. Again, I might disagree about everything, but I'm still willing to talk. And I'm not trying to aggravate. I'm not trying to cause any of that shit. But it was just an interesting experience. Because I do believe Sargon is going to be talking to Vidcon, possibly about filing a complaint against Anita, because she, as a speaker, made him feel unsafe. That is very true. She singled him out in an audience, and she called him out. She didn't call him out by name, but she called him a garbage person. And there, you can kind of see the narrative on this one, because the progressive blogs that would usually be propping her up back to that tower she's damseled herself in. Again, criticism. Pretty valid, I might say. I know I'm criticizing her, saying I'm open to a dialogue. I get it. It's more of jokes than anything else. But the point here is that, they're not writing articles about this today. because they really don't have a leg to stand on here. She singled out, yes, Sargon of Akkad, she singled him out, but she still fired the first shot. You can't claim you're a victim when you shoot first. But it was still a very interesting experience, and there's still one more panel to go. Who knows what's going to happen? But either way, it'll be interesting, and we'll be talking about it. My name is Matt Jarbo. This has been the Mundane Matt channel. I know this video went on for a long time, but I really wanted to make it. I wanted to get all my thoughts out there. Anita, if you by some chance see this, invitation always stands. Seriously. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. And remember, 2018 VidCon is going to be the shit. It's going to be the shit con for the shit lords. Get your ass out here. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Peace out.